Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching The Equalizer 2. Now, when it comes to my opinion of the first Equalizer movie, I basically described it as the perfect example of a dad movie. Basically, a movie about an older action hero who shows he still has what it takes, usually played by an actor who's gone overlooked by Hollywood for some years. Denzel Washington fit the role, he did a great job, and now he's back for a sequel with the same director, Antoine Fuqua, handling the sequel. So the story is that Robert McCall, played by Denzel Washington, is now working as a Lyft driver, helping out people around his neighborhood whenever he can, while also dispensing justice on those who do some immoral acts. But when one of it, but when a certain thing goes wrong in another country, he's got to go back to his Equalizer persona and track down the people responsible, while also trying to help out one of his neighbors in his old apartment building. And when it comes to leading a better life. That's all I'll say about the story without spoiling anything. So, what did I like about this film? A lot of the positives with the sequel are the same as in the first movie. Denzel Washington is dead on as Robert McCall. He does a very good job with his subtle acting, making you know what he's thinking or what he's feeling, even without any words at all. One of my favorite scenes of the film is where he tries to think about a crime scene that happened earlier on in the film, and where he has no dialogue at all, but you can see the gears in his mind turning as he does his little movements and as he thinks over everything that's going on. Also, the action scenes, which are plentiful in this film, are very well done. They're brutal, they're full of bone snapping, blood splattering, and several creative kills. It's not exactly a horror movie style of creative kills, but a lot of them do show Robert's intelligence as well as his just overall fighting prowess. And I appreciate that about action scenes, especially the last one that combines great CQC with a lot of emotional stakes. Now, another positive about the film is the music and the tension built, because even though there are many action scenes, other scenes in the film are excellent for the tension they build even when there's no violence at all. The subtle use of music, the few effective sound effects, the acting from the people involved, they get you really tensed up and prepared for something to happen. Even when nothing does happen, you still feel the effects of certain scenes, simply because, like any good thriller, it keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout. But there are some negatives to go through with this film. Even though I appreciate the scenes earlier on where Denzel helps out a few choice people with their problems, it does feel like it goes on a little bit too long. Like certain scenes were made to pad the film out to 2 hours. Because if you cut out a few of those scenes, then the film would actually be like an hour 30 or an hour 40 minutes long. So the first 45 minutes are very, very slow. But the pace does pick up after the 45-minute mark, though it's not breakneck fast anyways. But that's mainly because a lot of the film is made up of short little mini arcs that resolve as they go, and it feels like there's a little less focus this time around because of that. That's also true because the film goes to several other countries, unlike the first film where a lot of it takes place in just one neighborhood. That's not horrible, but at the same time it does make the plot feel a little less focused. On top of that, the ultimate villains in this film are not very memorable. The villains in the first film were memorable in the fact that one of their top hitmen was essentially a guy who looked like he walked right out of a gritty video game. Here, it's done with a more realistic edge that you say could make them a little more intimidating, but it makes them far less interesting when it comes to their motivations, as they're bog standard and they're not very interesting as characters in my eyes. Especially since it's a mystery as to who is responsible for a certain crime that happens in the film, we don't even get to know them very well until like the third act. But with all that said, while this isn't as good as the first Equalizer film, I still consider it a good case of cinematic junk food. Just, if I had to compare it to a junk food, it would probably be jalapeno peppers and a nice light beer. And I can think of worse things to have. So I give The Equalizer 2 a 7.5. See you next time.